If we trusted the crypto media, we would believe that Jupiter has a big impact on Solana. The lending giant Jupiter now lets the same dollar earn twice. But really, Jupiter is only the 6th largest protocol on Solana. And the capital on the platform tends to rather decline. So do the fees. Or check out this news article. 3 days ago, Solana stablecoin supply has grown 11x in 3 years. And this is that supply over time. Yes, it did go up, but recently the growth has clearly stalled. So this should not be newsworthy. In the end, what really matters for Solana is the macro trend. This is the TVL, how much capital is currently on the Solana chain. It rose during the DeFi summer in 2021, then came the crypto winter, then came Memecoin trading, and since September of last year, the TVL is coming down again. The largest protocol on the chain is still Pump.Fun, and its TVL looks a bit more healthy. It's not necessarily growing over the last months, but at least it's not shrinking like Jupiter's. The trading volume on the platform is also relatively stable. Now, how organic is that trading volume? Is this all bot trading? It's of course hard to answer. But clearly, Pump.Fun matters for Solana. In the last 24 hours, we had 4.3 billion worth of trading volume on the Solana chain. Pump Swap made 3.8 billion. So it's the vast majority of the trading volume. Radium, for example, which comes directly after Pump.Swap, has only 170 million of trading volume. So really, the fate of Solana is determined by what's happening with the Pump.Fun ecosystem. This is the pump price relative to the rest of crypto, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, also excluding the stablecoins. The very long-term ratio, that's the dotted line. We tend to trade in a range. If Pump was to go back to its all-time high, relatively speaking, it could appreciate by roughly 40%. If the momentum stalls, it could fall by 57%. So that then begs the question, what happens with Solana when the TVL is going down and when the stablecoin market cap is also rather stalling over the last months? Here is Solana relative to the rest of crypto, excluding Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the stablecoins. Very long term, Solana does outperform the rest of crypto, but in the short to medium term, things look quite problematic. We are now extremely close to a resistance, and I bet on a falling Solana price. I've got a quite large position in this. If of course we suddenly see a surprise rally, I would close the position, but right now, at least for a short-term hold, I think betting on a relative underperformance of Solana is not a bad idea. Is Memecoin trading really that likely going to grow in our current market situation? I don't think so. Here's another interesting data point. This is Solana dominance. How much of all of crypto is currently in Solana measured by market cap? It's currently close to 2%. What we see at the bottom, that's the Bitcoin price. This is not the Bitcoin dominance, it's the Bitcoin price. Now there's something interesting here. The Solana dominance tends to peak at the same time when the Bitcoin price peaks. It tends to bottom when the Bitcoin price bottoms. It then peaked again as Bitcoin went up. It continued to appreciate a little bit more as the bull market continued. And now, as we are turning around, as Bitcoin is falling, Solana's dominance is falling as well. What does this tell us? It tells us that Solana acts like a levered bet on Bitcoin. When we are in a bear market, then Solana tends to go down more. When we are in a bull market, Solana tends to appreciate more. And that makes sense, right? Memecoin trading happens in a bull market, not in a bear market. And so ultimately, the question whether or not Solana will break this resistance is also a question about the general shape of the crypto eco space. I don't think that this bear market is already over. I even changed my picture here on this channel to a bear costume a few months ago. This here is the net unrealized profit and loss for Bitcoin. And for every bear market, we needed to see the average Bitcoin investor being in unrealized losses. And we are not there yet. this bear market has not been as severe as prior bear markets. And I think that selling pressure will slow down once we are in unrealized losses. Because if you believe in Bitcoin long term that it goes up versus the US dollar, you're simply going to wait out if you're currently in net unrealized losses. Right? Long term the price goes up because the US dollar devalues over time. That then in turn means that now there's still potentially some selling pressure. The average Bitcoin investor is still 16% in profit. What I think is also important, and I share this several times on this channel, is that currently money is flowing out of the space. This is the stablecoin market cap relative to the US money supply. Whenever money flows into the space, whenever people convert their fiat currency, their bank deposits into stablecoins, that's when crypto prices can appreciate. Whenever that stops, that's when crypto prices tend to go down. Have a look at Bitcoin. Once we saw no more inflows, that's when Bitcoin tended to fall. And now we even see outflows. And so I expect Bitcoin to even accelerate its decline. It's no certainty, but I do like these kind of low volatility charts that give us an impression of where we are in the cycle. A lot of speculation has moved towards tech stocks, especially artificial intelligence related tech stocks. Especially South Korea saw a huge bubble. SK Hynix got pumped to the moon, and even the crypto boys, they speculated on that rally. In other words, even the crypto capital is not that excited about speculating with crypto. Crypto capital speculated with tech stocks. This here is the funding rate on Hyperliquid of SK Hynix over time. It's now normalizing again, it's coming back down, but it used to be close to 80% per annum. Why is the funding rate now declining? It's because SK Hynix has imploded. It's the second largest stock in all of South Korea, and it went down from the top to the current price by 45%, from the top to the bottom by 55%. So first bubbles are already popping, but in general valuations are still high, right? This is the Shiller PE ratio, the price to earnings ratio of the S&P 500. We are now at a very similar level to the top of the .com bubble. Now, I'm not saying that artificial intelligence is useless, rather the opposite, right? I use AI every single day, several hours. But the question is, can the current companies capture all of that value far out in the future? The companies that captured most value during the internet boom were not even born in the year 2000 when all of that speculation happened. Google did not exist, Facebook did not exist, and Netflix at the time wasn't even traded like a .com stock. So maybe we will see a repeat, as in AI will stay very useful, but maybe the companies that capture AI over the next decades are not the OpenAIs, are not the Anthropics of this world. It's at least a scenario to think about. Here's the S&P 500 relative to the US money supply. This year was .com, then came the .com crash, a slight recovery, then the global financial crisis, then Bitcoin was created, and this is where we are now, right? Bitcoin has never really seen a real crisis. And so that begs the question, is this really the bottom for something like Solana? The momentum is clearly still bearish. The main driver of the ecosystem is meme coin trading, which is pretty much dead. My estimation is that the vast majority of this trading volume is just bot trading, it's just wash trading. And even pump relative to the rest of the altcoin market isn't necessarily that cheap anymore. I don't like the chart of Solana relative to the rest of crypto either, at least for buying the asset. Right? As said, I bet on falling prices. And since Solana is an amplified version of Bitcoin and money continues to flow out of the space, and since then Bitcoin is declining, I have my doubts that we should go too much risk on now. I want to see at least Bitcoin fall below the average cost basis, the realized price. And that's currently at $54,000. With every bear market in the past, we fell below that price level. And I expect this to happen again. We already see how the market is getting more cautious with valuations like this. The first bubbles are popping, and even the crypto bros aren't that interested anymore in betting on AI stocks to the same degree as they used to. The risk off sentiment that we experience in crypto already since October of last year might now spill over to AI stocks as well. And so I think the only logical conclusion is that something like Solana, a levered bet on Bitcoin, is more likely to fall than to appreciate. If you want to invest alongside with me, feel free to check out the premium membership. There are several strategies that get executed automatically. The recent one is currently making 34.2% per annum. The backtest implies 38%, so very close to the backtest. Over the next weeks, there will be a new strategy that's getting launched to build income independent of the macro situation through things like funding rate arbitrage or mean reversion strategies. So premium is linked down below in the pinned comments. It's currently $159 per month. There's also a 7-day money back guarantee. In case you don't like premium, just message me within 7 days and you'll get refunded, no questions asked. If it's the very first time here, feel free to subscribe. I publish here regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you next time. Bye-bye.